right, I think we're live here. Welcome everyone. It is Backers Live. We're back again. Justin Fox, Cam Tabarari. Cam,
There we go.
welcome
You
back
got
to the
better
show.
at
Did,
saying my
did I
last name.
did I get it right for or close for once?
Getting
Awesome.
closer, getting
Getting
closer every
closer.
time.
So why don't you introduce yourself then?
Of course. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. This is Cam Tabarrai of Bootleggers Cocktail, and happy to be here, chat a little bit more about our business and the crowdfunding campaign we have live on Backers Network, and some updates on the new product and the new market expansion plans, and so on.
Cool. So yeah, the offering is live. I was just gonna jump to a quick view of it.
Hmm.
There is
That's
the
right.
offering, right? The Volatile Project.
Correct.
It is currently live on the backers funding portal. You can now invest. You see the little invest now button. You can now invest as little as $100 up to $2,500. You're currently raising $100,000 on the portal there, and you can see the deck there. We just updated the most recent deck. Did you maybe want to discuss sort of some of the points? Where are some of the slides that were updated? I think we're going to talk a little bit about the product, but what are some of the things that you wanted to sort of discuss there? Which part of the deck should I get to? So you're raising 300,000 overall over the next few
Correct.
months. Right now, this
That's right.
offering is for 100,000 for 3.3% basically of the business, equity in the business, shares in the business, participating
Yes.
in obviously your success or your upside of the business. So what are some things people should know, I guess?
Yeah, so we updated deck. I mean, this is a new campaign after the last one. Last one was successful, and we had new people joining our team, of course, and that's great. We started the production of a new product, and with the new deck, we just try to elaborate a little bit more on the potential for future. What are the strategic plans for growth and development with the new products and the new markets over the next year? And there is just more clarity on some of those future path, basically. And as you mentioned correctly, we are raising, the goal is 300,000 over the next few months, and the really goal is to increase the production volume and expand the markets and make money for us and for everybody who joins this venture with us.
Right. So one of the things that we're trying to educate the general public on is the fact that the general public, so that's you, pretty much everyone watching, has never had this type of opportunity to invest directly into a early stage venture like the Volatile Project or Bootleggers. And so that this opportunity now exists where you can, similar to the way wealthy people have been doing for millennia, right, can now
Right.
invest and hope to see significant returns on their investment, right? And that's something that I think we're trying to educate the masses on. You can put $1,000 of your money invested into a company, and you now become a shareholder of that company. And when they're successful, that investment, that $1,000 investment, grows in value. And when they exit, whether they sell it to, in the case where we can talk about maybe some of the exit strategies for bootleggers, but whether they sell to another company or sell to another entity, whether they go public, there are a couple of different exit strategies that are at play where you now can see the growth and the value of your $1,000 increase over a period of time. So why don't we jump right into that? Cam, why don't
Yeah.
we talk? I don't know if you want to talk to one of the slide deck or one of the slides, specific
Uh,
slides there, but why
sure,
don't you
we
talk a
can.
little bit about your exits or your exit strategy? What
Of course,
slide do you
of
want me to
course,
jump to?
of course. Well, I would just go to the same slide that you just had on. It was about the
The
growth
roadmap?
overview. Yeah,
Yeah.
the roadmap. And I explained why. So in this slide, as you can see, we really elaborate on what is the path for the next 4 years. If you look at that, you can see very clearly that how the volume of our production and sales and the really diversity of the product on the in the market and the market itself is going to expand. That just shows right there how our revenue and valuation is going to go up. So if you look at that, you can see that it's going to go to 1 million units and then eventually 10 million units. That's the ultimate goals. When we have 10 million units in production and sales, we're looking at a $50 million just the cash valuation of the company before you even try to get into the public market. But really, the biggest and simplest strategy that we follow is once we hit that level, then we want to like ideally initiate our own IPO, initial public offering into the public market, because obviously at that point, you with the value of 50 million plus, you can enter Nasdaq, for example, or one of the big ones that have a minimum valuation requirement at that level, which is pretty high. But that means that you're a company that is doing something right and big enough and sustainable enough and supported enough to be able to enter the market and grow in that market. With that entry, suddenly our value through the public market offering and the trade volume is going to go by another factor of 2 to 5. So suddenly, if you put $1,000 today, looking at this growth map, when the company is valued, let's say $3 million, you're going to look at something in the range of $100 million, right? So you went by a factor of 30, right? And that's like a 4-year plan, 4 to 5 year plan. So suddenly your 1,000 is now 30,000, right? And that's a pretty good return for just a few years, right? With almost a very minimum risk. The risk you took was $1,000. $1,000 is basically if you go out on a fine dining experience with your husband or wife or partner, and you repeat that once a month over 3 dining experiences, average bill of $350 for 2 people with 2 meals, 1 appetizer, a bottle of wine, and maybe a cocktail to start. That's about $350 minimum with tax and tip, if not more, right? And so 3 dining experiences is $1,000. That's the risk you're taking. It's not going to be a make or break for your wallet. It doesn't make you homeless. It doesn't, make you lose your job. It doesn't make you lose your lifestyle and the quality of life that you have. But with that risk, which is a very small risk, you have a potential in 4 years to have $30,000. Then you can go all around Europe for 2 months and do fine dining every day, right? Think about it. I want to put it in the simplest, more touchy, understandable form for people, right? And this is really something that through platforms like yourself in Backers Portal, you have the ability to put small amounts of money in companies that are cool and you follow and you are interested and you see a potential, and with the hope or potential that, hey, look, $1,000 didn't do much in your life right now, but that 1,000 could become $30,000, $50,000, $100,000, even $1 million, depends on how long you keep it in a public market. I just said this is the beginning of the public market entry, which is our exit plan. But after exit, we're still in the market. We all shareholders of that public entity, and the trade volume and the marketing in the volume that we do in the public market is going to keep growing it. And the company at that point, as you always say about Google, when Google entered the public market, had a value. But Google right now, after 10 years in the public market or whatever, right, or many years in the public market, has 100 times the value of entry of the market. And then at the entry, they had 100 times their initial value. So suddenly you have 10,000 times, right? So if you go that far, then 10,000 times 1,000, right? So you got suddenly 100,000, 1 million. It keeps going like that, right? Yeah. But your risk was 3 dining experiences that you could have cut if you're really in need of that $1,000 to invest and make a lot more money in a few years.
Well, I mean, and so we're talking, I appreciate that you're kind of giving the overarching pitch of kind of Backers, right? Is, it's, you talk about for a cup of coffee a day, you could, donate to X, charity, or, in your case, you're saying for a few dining, the cost of a few dining experiences, hopefully with a Bootleggers premium craft cocktail included in said dining experience.
That's right.
And we'll talk a little bit about the event there, which was pretty cool at the aquarium the other day. That I think you had 1,000+ people there. But for as little as $100, you can actually invest. Average investor is about $1,000, and you can invest up to $2,500 in a early stage, and arguably not so early stage. I mean, you're 3-4 years into the journey. You've done some pivots. You've now found a product market fit. People love the product. It's in stores. It's being produced. Right. It's in retailers.
Yes.
You're hosting events like we talked about. So it's really the risk reward is you can now get into, and you talked about the experiential thing, kind of like a Red Bull 20 years ago, right? When before Red Bull was synonymous or this worldwide name brand, the people that invested early on, those were the ones and are the ones that have extreme wealth at this point, right? You talk about, the Amazons or the Googles of the world, right? I talked about, an investment in Amazon in 94, $1,000 would be worth $70 million today, right? You look at some of the largest VCs that all talk about, and they're billionaires now. They talk about how they got their wealth. They were early investors, private investors in Facebook, in Google, in Twitter, whatever that business is, in Red Bull, and that's really where, so while the risk of the entrepreneur is out there and everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, and I'm actually going to go slightly different tangent, and you let me know your thoughts on this. Everyone thinks they're an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. It's sort of sexy to be an entrepreneur, right? To say, flexibility of time, and I make money wherever, as long as there's a Wi-Fi and electricity, I can kind of make money as a nomad almost, right? But in reality, most people are not entrepreneurs. Most people will not take that first step. However, now through the opportunity to invest, arguably it's even a better step. Like if I could just go back and just start investing in entrepreneurs rather than being one, I'd much rather do that. So much easier. Let other people work, put your money to work, right? Let them do the work, right? You look at that sort of rich dad, poor dad, you got like a job, the quadrant, right? A job, self-employed, a running a business, and then investor. Like the ultimate is to be the investor, or it might be the other way around, but the ultimate is to be the investor, have your money working for you, right? And that's really what, the opportunity is here. If you put money in Bell Canada today at whatever price it is, in 5 years, it's probably not going to be that much higher, right? Maybe it doubles, maybe in 7 years.
That's right.
It's already had its run up.
It's already had its growth and is established. But when you look at the startups, we talk about high risk, high return. But again, this platform like Backers, this type of crowdfunding allows you to minimize your risk for a potentially really high return, right? And as you said, instead of doing the work yourself, being an entrepreneur is a massive risk, and it takes a certain personality, persistence, certain type of person to be.
A little bit of
right, a little bit of a
craziness
crazy, or type of a personality, right?
Exactly.
But then we do the work because we love it, and we have accepted to take the risk, and we do. And that's totally fair. And I think crowdfunding is a great model for public to be able to get in and make some money, be part of other people's journey. It's also fun. It's also engaging. It's also educational. People come in, they can see how the business is run. They can gain experience. If you want to start your own business later, at least you get firsthand experience. You try the water, test the water a little bit and see how it goes. And now, back to Bootleggers and, where we see the brand going, we've talked a lot about it in the last crowdfunding we had as well, that look, we are a experiential brand. We are about lifestyle, but the product and the retail market product is one that is going to grow, and we're heavily investing it, and we're growing it quite fast, actually. So since last time, our production in California has been done. So the new cans are in the market already in the US. In fact, we are expanding to Florida market as well. I'm taking a trip. I'm going to be on the road in California and in Florida over the next 2 weeks. And we're going to sign about 60 accounts in the retail market, and massive success. So that's basically almost sold out of the current inventory in the US. The Canadian part of the inventory is being imported here over the next few weeks as well, should be available in the market by January latest, hopefully. And then we're going. Then that's why we're doing the crowdfunding, because we want to already raise the funding for the next round, which is going to be towards the end of February. And with that, we're hoping that we increase the volume and start the process of growth as we presented in the pitch deck for 2024, with the goal of 100,000 units produced and sold over a few markets in the US and Canada. The early feedback on the new product has been fantastic. Espresso Martini is to die for. I know in the event we had in Vancouver at the Aquarium, unfortunately, the import license did not come in time, so we didn't have it. We had the banners, and people were complaining to me, "I came here for Espresso Martini." Like, that's a good problem to have. Look, that's a great. I understand the frustration.
The demand's there for sure. I mean, I was at the event. It was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of people excited. I will say, even my wife was excited to try it, but it is what it is, right? Obviously,
next one. Yeah. And again, I hope people understand and appreciate that. Again, we're going against the biggest, toughest regulatory bodies in the world, which is alcohol in Canada. Right. And it's really tough, and you got to go through the process, and it takes time. But look, it's coming. It's there already, and it's a matter of time. And be patient, please, and bear with us. You get your product soon, and you're going to see it in the market, and you can buy it in retail. So with that, a little update on the growth, as I mentioned, with the production and the market entry in different places. We also are building an army of salespeople in different markets. By spring of 2024, we should have a massive outreach through our reps in the retail market and into the events and hospitality side, to be able to, as we're growing the inventory, be able to support and sustain our sales with that. Because in our business, it's all about balancing your supply and demand. Don't overproduce when you can't sell. Don't oversell when you can't produce, right? It has to balance each other out. Is a fine adjustment, and we're working on it really hard to make sure our logistics, the back end, the front end, everything is working in harmony. And it takes time, but we're on the right track, and we should be able to hit our goals pretty well in the new year. Very confident about that.
Perfect. So, okay, one of the questions that I've got some feedback, and I'll just throw a couple of questions out here. One, the event was great. Obviously I think, just a side note, and we talked about this off air, anyone that's watching this, the event, so Cam and the team, I want to give kudos to them. They're pushing the boundaries with some of these venues and allowing some, events like they put on at the aquarium to happen. And they're the ones that are allowing us to get out and have a good time. Unfortunately, maybe the city of Vancouver has all different views on certain things. We'll leave it at that. But a great event. A lot of people were there. It was exciting to see, over 1,000 people show up, dressed to the nines, and enjoy a cool evening out at the aquarium. But one of the questions that I get, and this is kind of like getting into the specifics, right? So as an investor, I get a lot of people. Obviously, we're educating the average public, the general public. I call them the affluent masses. So kind of people that make money, have their needs met. They have some extra investable assets or cash that they would like to put in and put it to work. As we said, maybe $1,000 in 10 different companies, so 10 grand to kind of diversify their investments. But a lot of people wonder, okay, so what am I doing? Where is my money going? You alluded to production. What kind of margins, can we get into, maybe is there a slide on the deck where we can get into the nitty gritty of, what is $1,000 getting me? Obviously it's a fraction of ownership in the company. What is that $100,000 going to do for you? And what are some of the margins? What are some of the numbers specific to the business, right? So producing 100,000 cans, what does that mean? Like in a dollars and cents, so, break it down. What does that mean?
Of course. If you bring the slide that is use of funds, is towards the end of the presentation. And next one, I believe.
Let me just,
or after that.
Target market.
That's a target. So the ask is for, as you can see, the ask that we have put for 300,000. That's for the goal of being able to produce 100,000, right? So 100,000 cans. Where this magic number of 100,000 unit came from, right? It came from understanding that with 100,000 unit production, we will have a sustainable cycle of production and sales in which all the costs, from the cost of goods sold, that basically the cost of production, the cost of sales, marketing, overhead, companies, staff, everything is paid for. Now, this is a sustainable cycle. We can repeat this forever, right? Now, that's not going to generate extra additional profits to put it back in the company and grow the production. So what you do is, after that, once you prove that, hey, this is sustainable, we're good, we got the market, then you're going to get new financing, right? It doesn't have to be equity, so you don't dilute the, of course, current shareholders. It could be bank financing, right? And you have the proof and the data. So with that, suddenly you go to a 500,000 and a million units. Basically, the goal is in the year after, in 2026, to do 1 million units. In 1 million units, you're sustainable, you're profitable. Now, if you go to the previous slide, the previous one, and previous one, right here. So the goal is 2024, 100,000, 2025, 1 million. Once you get to 1 million units, you're profitable. You have about 20 to 30% profit margin on the operations and overhead and everything as a company. So now the money that you put in the beginning as part of that 300,000 is still there. You have your equity. You haven't been diluted after that because of the financing that came in. And now the returns in the company, a big chunk of that profit is going to be invested back into production. And some of it is going to be also on an annual basis, with discretion of the board of directors, declared as dividend, which is some sort of a return on investment payback, cash payback bonus to investors based on the amount of money they put in and the amount of shares, the volume they own. And of course, that's just on the short term. Now, if you bring back the slide, I'm going to say on the long term, when you're hitting 5 million, 10 million units in 2026 and 2027, that's when we're doing the exit plan. And on the exit plan, you can sell some of your shares at the new value and cash in, get some returns. Or you can keep it in and sell it after the exit, or keep it even further to grow even more, or have a strategy to start selling some of this so you see some money back with return, and then you keep some of it for the bigger return. That's really something that investors are encouraged to do their own study. We're happy to consult with them at that point and guide them that what makes sense mostly for them. But that's the return. So you have short-term return, you have long-term return, and then you have some steps in the middle. Now, if you go back to the slide for the use of funds, that's just what I put for $300,000 of investment. If you go the other way.
Yeah.
So in this model, which was the 100,000 unit production, the sustainable cycle of sales, production, and operations, we see that we have, first of all, at the bottom line, you have $200,000. This is just the pure cost of producing, right? And then you have the marketing, right? So business development and marketing. Business development and marketing is the cost that, for example, we go and meet people. We go, take them out, for lunch for somebody to establish a business. We go travel to be able to go see new accounts and establish new partnerships. All of that are the money that is needed to be able to market and sell. Then there is cost of sales. The cost of sales is really the incentives that we pay to salespeople, the sales reps, the stores, the accounts, the bonuses. Those are the monetary values of relationship building, basically, the monetary cost of building relationships to be able to sell your product. And finally, we get to, of course, some contingencies and overhead. Overhead is all the operating cost of the company as an entity. We pay taxes on this and this. We pay fees and subscriptions for software, for different purposes, the office, the salaries, the contractors, the staff, all of that. That's our overhead. Right? And contingency is the fun extra cash you want to have in a bank account just in case something goes wrong, or you need to invest a little bit more in marketing or sales, or very different scenarios, right? In this model, you got that sustainable thing, and then you grow it from there with financing. So again, you put some money now, you get some early returns, on kind of like a dividend bonus over the next few years on an annual basis. And then finally, you have the opportunity to sell your shares or some of them and enjoy the return based on the multiply value of your shares, because the share that you own right now, $1, is going to be worth $10 in 4 or 5 years, right? So then you can sell some of them. Your 1,000, you can sell some of the 1,000 shares. You can sell 500 of it, right? And now you made $5,000, for example. And then you keep the rest of it for 100x exit in another 5 years, maybe. It's up to you. But you see those numbers coming in over time.
So again, this is sort of educational for everyone, right? They're becoming investors, right? It's arguably the term we're using more frequently now, and kind of shifted away from, instead of crowdfunding, it's crowd investing, right? There's a big difference between donating money or buying a product, ahead of time. They're actually becoming shareholders. It's very much like buying shares in Apple or in Bell Canada or in whatever other company you can think of that's publicly traded. The only difference is these are private companies, early stage, in this case not so early, obviously established with product market fit, a path, a legitimate path to profitability and growth and sustainability, right? So just a quick, I'm going to ask, so it looked like $2 to make a can, roughly, give or take, right? What would you sell? Like, what would be sort of the wholesale? What would be the retail? Like, not to disclose too many numbers, but just roughly,
It's about 3 to 350, depending on the market and exchange.
And what's
rate.
the expected retail on sort of? Are these dollars in Canadian?
Expected retail is about 5 to 7. Yeah. So again, the markups in the middle are the markups that are made by the distributor and the retailer. So then there are 2 layers of markup that goes from the dollar value that we sell to the distributor, and then distributor marks it up and the retailer marks it up, right? And that's how it happens. So suddenly the cost was about 2, it becomes about 350 where we sell it. So we got about 80%, 75% return on it, right?
Yeah.
And then they add another 30 to 50% on the distribution and another 30 to 50% on the retail.
Right. And you're also saying that you're bringing in a sales team, which will help kind of expedite that.
We're building a big sales
growth.
team. Yeah, we're controlling it ourselves. We're literally building an army of sales reps, right, all around the world. They're going to be working remotely, but with direct supervision, with training and manuals, and very consistent. And they work based on the success fee. And the more they can sign accounts and retain the existing accounts, the orders and reorders, the more money they make. On another note, if you want to be interested to be a sales rep for Bootleggers, hit us up.
There you go. Yeah, they're looking for a team of people that are excited to get a premium craft cocktail into the marketplace. So we'll end it off. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Florida. I don't want to get too much into the regulatory side, Canada, the US, but I think this is an example where organizations have to sort of pivot, right? Or make choices, sometimes tough choices, depending on what's happening within their business. And for a lot of entrepreneurs watching out there, I mean, this is an example of, maybe plan A was to do something and plan B is something else. And then, you might be at plan X before you get to, sort of, product market fit or profitability or into your end goal. So you talked about Florida. Tell us a little bit about the expansion into the US and maybe the counter to Canada. I know there's some other opportunities maybe in sort of the other parts of the country here, but tell us a little bit about that expansion.
We are Canadian by home base by start, right? So we started in our home land, and then we see how the market works, the cost, the vendors, the suppliers, all of that equation on the logistics in the back end. Then we get to the distribution and sales, right? And again, the regulatory boundaries are different in US and Canada a little bit. US is a little bit more streamlined with privatized distribution and sales, still with the government authority supervision. But in Canada, government in most of the states, bigger ones, Ontario, BC, Quebec, is fully in charge of distribution and sales. So in Ontario and Quebec, even worse, because there are not even private liquor stores. In BC, you have private liquor stores on top of it. So you have some direct access to consumer before you get listed on the government stores. But then you have to file applications once a year. So if I file an application this year, my product, if it's accepted, is going to be listed in their sales channels a year later. right? So
Right.
what do we do as a brand? We're not going to sit down and, not do anything. So we expand into a market that allows flexibility. And of course, look at the size of market in the United States versus Canada. It's very obvious that from the consumer perspective, US is the big fish, right? And the big pond. Now, we went to California because of many reasons. Because from the lifestyle and the vision perspective and the concept perspective, where we're looking at bringing art and entertainment and hospitality together and present it in a product, that's where art and entertainment come together. California, Los Angeles is a big center for that. Miami is another big center for that. New York City, which is our next phase of growth, is going to be another one. Las Vegas is another one, right? These are places that like entertainment, nightlife, art, cocktails, all these kind of things are hot. There, people work on these projects. It's people are excited about this stuff. People are the consumers of these type of products and experiences. So that's a very natural, organic progression from here to there. And of course, from a strategy perspective, because of the model of distribution and sales in the United States, you can produce in one state. You still need to pay shipping and some paperwork to send it to another state, but it's much easier. You can do this over a week, right? And we had an opportunity because one of our products, that the first product in California, which are the bottles, with worked with a different artist. The artist has a couple of feature shows in Art Basel. If you don't know, Art Basel is one of the biggest and most famous contemporary art and entertainment festivals in the world. And it draws attention of millions of people and thousands of artists from all around the world to present there. And really is a place that has been my personal dream and professional dream to be present there. And there's an opportunity to go with our artists, present the product and sell the product to the retail market, because now we have an opportunity and say, look, this product is promoted here. So carry it in your store. It's going to come. People are going to come for it. So it was an opportunity to have an earlier expansion to Florida, and we seized the opportunity. I'm always in favor of the school of thought that, opportunities knock on your door in life once. You got to take the risk. You got to take a calculated risk, but you got to do your homework and try to make it work. And because then, you're going to regret it if you don't do it, right? And seems like we're in. Being confirmed over the next couple of days, but seems like we're in, and it's going to be a start of, again, the second channel of distribution in the United States. And hopefully in February production, we're going to expand to New York and Vegas as well, and more markets as we hit our 100,000 markets. And of course, on the local end in Canada, we're importing this round, but we may do a separate production in Canada eventually for Canadian market. So we're working on that behind the scenes with Canadian experts in the market as well. We're engaging a couple of experts to join the team and help us with that process to be able to optimize our cash flow model based on the logistics, of course.
Right. So, and I guess you had initially were manufacturing or producing here in Canada. That's now shifted to California, right? And that was sort of one of the issues, right?
So, and we might, again, have the Canadian market produced separately soon. Right. So again, we're always working on ways to make sure we can reduce the cost, make more profit, and have a simpler, more streamlined logistics, and like the whole supply chain model for our production.
And get more product out there, get more people enjoying the premium cocktails, right? Premium craft
faster,
cocktails.
Easier. That's it. That's
exactly.
Right.
And just to clarify, and again, this is obviously high risk, high reward. This is not financial advice. I don't know if we have to say any of this, but investing in bootleggers while it's a Canadian company, those shares still own all of the profitability, all of the returns, and they're participating in the U.S. operations, right? So
in the whole global company, exactly.
Company,
and
right?
as big as we get after that, as you see in our, again, maybe bring that slide back that shows the roadmap. As you can see, we're not going to just stick around in the US. If you go back a few slides, the other way, right, you can see that in 2025, we want to get into Mexico and South America. 2026, the target is Europe, and 2027, Asia. That means we're going to be a full-on global company. And again, this is a strategy and plan. There's going to be a lot of different things happening in the meantime by then, but this is the goal and this is the plan, and we are building those key relationships. We're developing those opportunities, and we're studying the market. We're getting the right people in place and right processes in place to be able to do that very easily.
Right. So they're investing in the opportunity to be a part of,
A global
a
entity, a
global,
global
exactly,
sensation.
brand, right? A global sensation. I like it. So, any parting words? I know you're off to the States. We might
Of
get you
course.
on a
Yes.
live stream next week at some point, but
Yeah. Hopefully, I think Wednesday next week might be a good day, but we'll chat about that.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
well, just so you know, our bootleggers in-person events and experiences for 2023 ended with the Vancouver Aquarium event. And again, thank you for everybody who joined us. I know in the end there was a little bit of an issue with venue management and but that's Vancouver. We know that we have to fight for our rights for freedom of art and experiential entertainment. We do deserve to be able to enjoy ourselves at the most gorgeous, beautiful venues and natural resources in the city. This city belongs to us, not belongs to a bunch of bureaucrats, right? And again, I'm up for the fight. We're fighting for freedom of art and experiences in the city, and we do not sit down until we get what we want to. In 2024, we have probably less events, but they're going to be a lot bigger, a lot more well coordinated, all the way to the goal of having a very big public festival in Vancouver downtown in summer. So hopefully that works well. And on the other note, I'm gonna be posting on the progress of how my sales trip is gonna be. Again, when we started this business, we always thought that look, we're millennials, we want to run things differently, and social media showing behind the scenes of how we hustle. We are proud of being hustlers. We are proud of being the front people. And as a CEO, I have no problem to go door to door, knock on doors, and try to sell my product. I
Right.
take pride in it, and I can't wait to actually share that whole experience day by day with people on social media and LinkedIn. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Please give me a shout, follow me, and love to connect.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, no, appreciate it. We'll touch base again next week. Follow along the journey. Be sure to check out their offering. Let's just quickly pull that up. It's
Yeah.
currently live on the Backers platform. Obviously, you've got the video there. You see Jean, dollar per share. You click the little invest now. Basically brings you to the subscription agreement, which basically allows you to invest in their business. So
And it's pretty quick. Just put your name, email, phone number, address, and then it's the e-transfer that goes to the trust fund or trust account of the portal, and we can't touch it until the crowdfunding is done. So with that, you're safe and sound, and you know that nobody's going to take your money without your consent or whatever. It's pretty safe, fully controlled by government regulators, so there is no concern about that. It's very safe and sound.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's kind of why Backers Securities is authorized as a startup crowdfunding portal with BC, Ontario, and Alberta. So the BCSC, the OSC, and the ASC. So if you live in those provinces, specifically, obviously the home province of bootleggers, you can invest as little as $100, as much as $2,500 on the Backers funding portal in bootleggers. So there's more to come. Just sort of side note, we have launched the crowd, and Cam, we'll talk about this a little off air, but we're going to be doing a monthly cohort of sort of an investment style kind of, in addition to what's happening on the portal, but kind of almost like the Dragon's Den / Shark Tank. But we'll have some judges. You were on it a couple weeks ago there,
Yes,
2 weeks ago. There's another one on Thursday with Vertibles. Which I'm actually going to be doing another live today with Brenda at some point, just kind of introduce her. But yeah, we're going to have all these shows, all these episodes. It's going to lead to sort of a judging of all of the presenters, the pitchers, the issuers, the companies like yourself, with one being allotted a winning investment amount from the judges who will have pre-invested. And then the crowd, essentially all the people watching live, will be able to then also invest. So it'll be not only the pitch, you think about Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, they're the ones making the offers, and everyone on TV is like, oh, that'd be cool. That's a cool idea. Now
But
they
if
can
you
actually
could be part
invest.
of it, yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're
Also,
the
a
viewers
side
can
note,
invest. Yeah.
yeah, a side note, so we have registered and applied to be on Dragon's Den next year. Hopefully we'll get
Sweet.
accepted. So we'll see how
So
it goes.
that'd be awesome. And anyone that's going on Dragon's Den, if you're going to be on Dragon's Den, why not sign up, be on Backers while you're on Dragon's Den? Everyone's going to be watching, and they'll be like,
Exactly.
"Oh, and by the way, we're on Backers. You can invest in
Yeah.
us." So, and Dragon's Den, reach out. We could probably create a little bit of a partnership there. But we're creating our own show, though. It's called The Crowd. It's not necessarily the Dragons. It's the crowd are basically judging who the winners are, who gets the investment, and we kind of go from there. So,
All right.
anyways,
Well,
appreciate it. Yeah, enjoy the
course.
trip down
Of course. Thank
to
you.
the States there, and keep us up to date on what you're doing. Everyone else, Justin
Absolutely.
Fox, Cam Tabarai. I was pretty on point, I think, with the last name. It's
The last name this
it's
time.
a tongue
Yes.
twister. Yeah,
Well,
Tabarai.
I know. Thanks
Yeah, yeah.
everybody for joining us. Follow Bootlegger's Journey, and connect with me if you have any questions or any comments, anything to ask or want to clarify, or in whatever reason, or just want to say hi. Anything that I can help with or provide more information, or if I can help you in any way, by all means, I'm always there, and I try to always not only be successful in Bootlegger's Journey and show that to people, but also we love to collaborate with people. We love to help. As part of my journey also on the mentorship is to give back, to share my experiences with people. And if I can, I know a lot of people, if I can connect you with somebody, I can help you with anything, by all means, is part of my passion of life.
Cool. Awesome. Backers.ca. Check it out. Click Investors. Bootleggers is there. There's a couple others more launching every day, it seems now, or which the momentum has kind of started. So, and everyone that's already invested in Bootleggers, appreciate it. Obviously, I'm sure Cam appreciates it. Those that are going to invest today, if you're watching right now, click that Invest Now button. Check it out. If it makes sense to you, invest. But
Go for it.
anyways, appreciate it. Thanks, Cam. Everyone else,
Have a good
cheers.
one, and cheers.